I had the same mentality that most people do that don't deal with illness, where you kind of wake up and every day is a given. You're not thinking about death, you feel like you're going to live forever. You know you won't, but you do. When you're given a terminal illness, all of that is scrapped. I don't think it should take a terminal illness for people to have this mentality. Don't wait too late to start living life and loving the people that you love.
Welcome to the podcast, Death, a Changing Industry. Today we have the great pleasure to welcome Megan McClay. So Megan, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Really fascinated and feel very privileged to learn from you on your journey and your story. You've been in the news heavily around the What Matters Most projects and also fundraising you've been involved in around your diagnosis. Is it possible to sort of talk to us about your journey to this point, please, around the project as well, please?
Of course, and thank you so much for having me. So originally I contacted Same But Different, who organised the project, because they have a magazine called Rarity Magazine, which focuses on rare illnesses, which my cancer comes under, as ocular melanoma. I was fundraising at the time for a treatment that isn't available on the NHS called chemosaturation as my second line of defence when my first line stops working. And I spoke with Kerry, who was the spearhead of the project, and amongst her getting me involved in the magazine, she asked me, would you like to be a part of the project? And as soon as she told me what it was about, I was immediately on board.
Yeah.
And I went up to Wales, I met Kerry, spent a couple of days there doing interviews, meeting all different types of people that are involved in end-of-life care, doctors, hospice workers, other people who are terminally ill.
Yeah.
And eventually the project was released and it was incredibly successful. The Welsh Parliament really took a big interest in it, yeah. So I was fortunate enough to speak at Welsh Parliament recently. And the project basically aims to reduce the stigma around talking about end-of-life, end-of-life care, asking people what matters most to them in end-of-life. And it was started around Kerry's experience when her mother was facing end-of-life and how there wasn't as much preparation as they would have liked, not by their fault, but because it wasn't available to them.
Yeah. And
the pain management that they had to struggle to get was very, very difficult. So there was a lot of passion behind this project, and I was very happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, very personal. The people there were very invested and involved, and obviously on that journey.
Yes.
Which is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
The most powerful thing actually you can be involved in. So prior to starting the podcast today, you mentioned you've had treatments the weekend as well. So how is your treatment at the moment going?
Hopefully really well.
Yeah.
I'm actually currently awaiting MRI results at the moment.
Yeah.
So I've been on my current treatment to bentafusp now for coming up to 2 years in June. Originally it looked like I wasn't responding very well. So the tumours were increasing in size and mass every MRI, only by a small amount, but they were increasing. And it was at that time I was involved in an article with a charity called Ocular UK, who released it because of the chemosaturation not being available on the NHS, to try and raise awareness of that. And that picked up more media interest than we expected at the time. And chemosaturation is a cancer drug for ocular melanoma, but it's only funded privately. And it's incredibly expensive. It's around £40,000 per round, and you need a minimum of 3 typically. So it's around that time we noticed the media interest that my family set up a fundraiser for me. And it was the first time I thought that would even be a possibility for me. So that's where it all started with the media, was fundraising for this cancer treatment.
And regarding the fundraising and the project with the Welsh Parliament as well, which you've done, how's that journey been for you, considering you were going through that treatment and were given that diagnosis? I imagine, like, when I leave an event after doing a talk there, it can be emotive because I've discussed my personal experience of loss. but actually you're there because of the treatment you're receiving and your diagnosis. How has it been from a personal, emotional point for you?
Very up and down.
Yeah.
So initially it was quite upsetting because it was taking a lot of time away from the things that I actually wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
But ultimately became something really positive for me. There was a time where there was a bit of a lull in the fundraising and we kind of struggled to know where to go. There was an incredible family and group of people that done a golf day, which was amazing, but we needed more money because it was just so expensive and we just didn't know what to do, dedicating so much time. And then the positive was I called into LBC one morning and spoke to Nick Ferrari, and the audience were just like amazing. Within probably around 24 hours, I had exceeded my goal for 3 rounds of treatment.
Wow.
I went from about £12,000 to nearly £90,000 in about 24 hours.
Amazing.
And not only that, but there was so many amazing messages, like incredible messages from people. So it kind of ultimately made it feel worth it. Obviously, of course, I secured my second line of treatment, which was amazing. But seeing all of those people and the kindness of those people that you just don't typically have the opportunity to see every day really made a massive difference for me.
Yeah.
And now it's given me the luxury of being able to spend my time doing what I actually want to do, because I know that as soon as my current treatment stops working, the second one is already secured.
Yeah.
So even though at the time it felt incredibly overwhelming, incredibly unjust in a way, ultimately it's given me a lot of fuel for positivity that I think I needed.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a very good thing.
Yeah, it's people who like do fundraising, there's that reason why behind it. It can be a real powerful tool, but obviously for yourself, it's kind of like survival. It's like, I can't think of any more powerful tool. And like you say, you're going to LBC to go and see them. You're literally out there being so proactive, reactive as well, but just getting out and finding that support and help. So it's amazing. Also, so many people are touched by cancer. I think, again, so many people that you probably don't even know are cheering you on.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so incredible. And you're so right. So many people are affected by it. I think it would be difficult to find somebody who doesn't at least have a loved one or a friend who isn't impacted by it. So it's incredible to see the kindness that people show. Complete strangers, it's amazing.
You've also, in your article on BBC, you discussed about how you went through your end-of-life planning with the hospice. Firstly, how did you find that process? Was that a difficult challenge to do, or did you feel quite relieved afterwards?
Relieved, actually. So it wasn't really a formality, it happened quite gradually. So initially, when I first started my immunotherapy, I spent some time on a ward which was full of end-of-life patients, just because I needed to be monitored quite closely. I was very unwell and I was inpatient for around 5-6 days after every treatment, so not much time out of the hospital. But while I was on that ward, I could hear the people around me dying and the conversations that they were having. And I was really worried that would be what would happen with me.
Yeah.
And so one day I went there's a charity right on our hospital grounds, Big C, and I went in and I just said, look, I know nothing about end of life, but I do know I don't want to be in a hospital when that time comes. And if I have the luxury of planning it, that's something I want to explore. They referred me to palliative, who contacted me and went through all the different options that are available and explained what home care would be, how the GPs work on a kind of traffic light system. I started understanding a bit more, and then they referred me to the local hospice.
Yeah.
And then when I went through an understanding that actually there will be loads of staff involved, it will hopefully be at my local hospice, which I think incredibly highly of. I mean, it's never guaranteed because we know funding and beds are not always available, but that's what I'm aiming for. And understanding what that would look like more clearly, it was a massive relief to me.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
So.
I just keep thinking about people who are watching this, who may have been recently given a diagnosis or who are awaiting that diagnosis. What advice would you give to people who have just found out some devastating news? Because again, I think it's that initial reactive panic. You've been on a journey, you've taken control of the situation. What advice could you give to other people?
I think mainly is, if you can, find a community of people that understand you.
Yeah.
Because it can take your friends and loved ones time to catch up to where you might be mentally. I think sometimes the person with the diagnosis is forced into acceptance and understanding of it before the people around them are. And that can be quite a lonely place to be. And I found a group, well, of course, ocular, which is all different types of people with my cancer, but then more specifically, secondary sisters, which are all women with stage 4 cancer that were all treated at my hospital.
Yeah.
And that made me feel so much more empowered and understood and comforted. So while my family and my loved ones were able to catch up to where I was feeling emotionally. And also, don't put any expectations on yourself.
Yeah.
I really kind of disagree with the bucket list things, because I think it puts a lot of pressure on people to do a lot of things without actually being in the moment whilst doing them.
Yeah.
Just because your life expectancy is reduced significantly, unless that is something you really want to do.
Yeah.
I think it's focusing on understanding what it is that you really want to do and doing it. And that comes with even where you're going to die. If you can bring yourself to explore what that would look like for you, and start talking to loved ones. So when the time comes, it's always going to be stressful, it's always going to be difficult, but you can reduce that a bit by having an understanding as to what you want.
Yeah. See, I've spoken before on the podcast with a guest called Katie Costello. She's an end-of-life doula, and she speaks about how we create calmness when someone dies. And that's one of my key messages really around this, is the thought of when someone passes away, and it's just chaos. There is another way to do this. Calmness is the key, isn't it? And that's taking control, being proactive. So I really admire what you've done. So you've discussed about family communication and allowing them to catch up. What communication and what help has been given to them to enable them to catch up?
It depends on the person. They've all kind of dealt with it individually. The hospice that I have is amazing because it is open to family and close friends as well. So that's the support. Even giving tours, like I've given a tour of the hospice to a family member to be able to say, this is the environment that it will be. I think that helps. I think it's a very difficult thing and it doesn't feel very nice in the moment, but I think that helps for people to be able to visualize and understand, and it becomes more real in a good way and in a bad way. But also being open with them myself and saying, if you want to talk about this, you can. You can talk to me about it. It doesn't need to be censored. It can be however you want it to be, or we can not talk about it at all, and you can navigate your own emotions in your own way. So flexibility.
Have you found yourself protecting other people though, and sort of picking them up? Despite it being your diagnosis, you're actually there to support them?
In some ways, yes. There has been some times I have been doing that. And I think it is because it's really setting up, I think, an environment for when I'm no longer here. And it actually gives me an element of control in my own way. So even though in those times it is holding somebody up, sometimes to the detriment of yourself, it isn't in the background of your mind because it's another element of control. You think, okay, if I support this person through this now, they might remember this when I'm not here. They might have confidence about this particular issue when I'm not here, or understand that I was okay ultimately.
I'm just like, it's incredible because despite what's going on in your situation with your news, you're still selfless in trying to help and support other people. And I don't think you should undermine that, because some people aren't capable of doing what you have done. So I commend you. I think you're
Thank
incredible
you.
for what you've already done and achieved.
Thank you.
Dimi is here today as well, your husband.
Fiance.
Fiance,
Nearly.
sorry.
Nearly.
How is he? How has he dealt with it all? I'm sure it'd be better to ask him the question, but actually through your eyes and your minds, how is he dealing with it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have just seen the most incredible growth in this man. I think we've kind of gone on the journey together at different speeds sometimes, but we've really gone on the journey together. And in the beginning, I mean, we kind of struggled to even really talk about it. It was very difficult and it would become very emotional. Fast forward to a year and a half later, and I mean, he's giving talks at ocular conferences about trying to empower friends and family to be comforted and to seek help if they need it, as well as the person who is sick.
And be present.
And be present, that is it. And this is something that we're trying to exercise more and more and more. And it's, of course, like, we're just human. It's not always going to be that case. There's days where sometimes it can become more consuming and you can't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
But those days when you can, feeling a bit more present and a bit more aware of your surroundings and the moments you're having with people is actually more of an exercise than I thought it would be. It doesn't come naturally. But he has been fundamental in me being able to get there as well. So together we've kind of navigated that, and we've still got a lot to learn, but
a true team.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. So you mentioned there about being present and being sort of grateful and the work you did at the What Matters Most project. Since the diagnosis, how has your life changed from how you view life? Has that changed, and how?
Massively. So prior to diagnosis, I think I had the same mentality that most people do that don't deal with illness, where you kind of wake up and every day is a given. You don't really think too far into the future, other than, you know, planning for the fun things or a new house or children or marriage or whatever it is that you're passionate about, but not you're not thinking about death. You feel like you're going to live forever. You know you won't, but you do. And then when you're given a terminal illness, all of that is scrapped at that point. When it comes to priorities, they've shifted massively. My priorities are just spending time with people that I love, doing things that I really, really enjoy doing, traveling as much as possible. I'm not so fussed about materialism or careers or anything like that anymore. I just want to live in the moment and enjoy things whilst I can, whilst my health allows me to. So my priorities are very much about slowing things down, having quality time with people, whereas before it was kind of all full speed ahead. You know, what's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? Now it's just like, what have we got now?
Yeah. And I think, you know, life is very busy.
Yeah.
It's getting busier for everybody. There's things around, there's distractions everywhere, social media, all these things which is taking our time.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people about how they spend their time?
It's very difficult because I know that time is such a luxury that so many people don't have. But those small moments that you do get from a day after work or in between looking after the children, especially with phones, put the phone down, spend time with them, look at them in the eye, really try and have that quality time, listen to one another. Even if you can do cheap days out, go for walks with each other, anything to make more of a memory than just watching a movie, which is amazing, do that, but also do the other things as well. Yeah. That's for me, and everybody is so individual on what is meaningful to them. But when you think of what is meaningful to you truly, then do it. Yeah. You know, do what you can, what life allows you to do. I know it definitely is a luxury, but try.
And for people who have problems, such as the car not starting, or their phone breaking, it's the end of the world, you know, these issues that we perceive as problems, what advice would you give to those people?
Take a step back. You know, there's a really strange kind of coping mechanism I have for this, which of course would be very different for other people, but sometimes when I'm getting really frustrated about something that doesn't really matter very much, I kind of imagine the time where I'm no longer to do that and how lucky I am to be sitting up in the car with no pain or going for a walk without the need of a wheelchair. And of course, that's different for other people, but it's trying to remember how lucky you are. How lucky you are you even have a car to begin with, and that you are feeling physically well to be able to go where you're going right now. Many people would love to have that opportunity. So gratitude is, again, it's a practice, it's an exercise, and it's not something that comes naturally, and it's something that, you know, I have to really actively work towards. But there are many people that would be jealous of these situations, to even have a car to break down in the first place.
No, I think some people close to me might think I'm a bit mad, because I'm actually capable in my mind to take myself to my hospital bed, to my last few minutes on this planet. And that's why I feel so empowered to do powerful work and to get stuff done. But I get frustrated as well how, you know, society, it can be so much kinder. And I can see a world where it is kinder by simple tools we carry out, and something that I've talked about a lot on the podcast and I've done in Parliament about the adding content to death, dying and bereavement to the national curriculum. So as a compulsory session, we learn about the emotions we go through when we lose someone we love. What's your thoughts around that? Do you think it will help society, or do you think I'm a lunatic like other people?
No, not at all. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think as much education, preparation and knowledge that the general public can have, the better. People being prepared for something that is naturally a difficult and devastating topic can only be a good thing in my eyes. So no, I think it's brilliant.
Thank you, Megan. Really appreciate your thoughts on that. Again, all the work that you're doing, you're facing your illness head on. Are you scared?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's days where it's more scary than others. Like more recently I had quite a nasty pain in my liver, which is where most of my cancer is. And immediately I had to call an ambulance to go to the hospital. While I was in the hospital, I was thinking, I might not go home. There's lots of people that don't when they experience these types of pains. Luckily for me, it turned out to be something that was not life-threatening at all, just a bit of swelling.
Yeah.
But it's some days where you just think, you know, things can turn very quickly. It's liver, so when you do get poorly, it will be quite a quick process to dying. And the more that my mind thinks about that, the more I think, okay, it could be next month or the month after or the month after, and it becomes frightening.
Yeah.
But that's not every day. I think it's quite good how often it just goes to the back of the mind, and it's not always at the forefront. But when it is, it's a scary thing.
And again, how you view life now. You're fully present in every moment. Your time with Dimi, your fiance. You're fully immersed in life, and you're tackling this head on. Is there a part of you that wishes that you were aware of this stuff before your diagnosis?
Yes, definitely. One of the biggest feelings that I had amongst diagnosis is I went through this kind of period where I was like, what have I done with my life? What have I done? What have I done with my time? And I couldn't really say much for it. It's like I don't feel like I've been present really or made many meaningful memories because I was living in a different moment in the past or in the future. I wasn't really taking things in. And if I had the luxury of practicing presence and understanding what it means to really capture a moment, I think it would have felt like life was a lot more full and meaningful to me. And I don't think it necessarily should take a terminal illness for people to have this mentality. So many people do. There's people who are, naturally, this is something that they really find important and something that they practice, who are well. But if you're able to try to practice that a little bit more in the everyday, I think that will make life feel a lot more meaningful to a lot of people.
And what things can we do to practice that?
Really, I think for me, it's really focusing on the really basics of a moment. So like one of the places, the first place that came into my mind is actually Fairhaven. There's a gardens nearby mine that I love going to. And sometimes it's about taking in all of the little things. So like, what can you smell? What is your partner or son or daughter doing? What are they wearing? What are you talking about? Really thinking about that person and the surrounding environment around you. Capture it in your memory if you can.
Yeah.
You can go back to it in the dark times as well and look forward to it again, instead of just thinking, oh, I went to the lovely gardens and all I kind of remember is my partner was on his phone and then we went for a bit of a walk. Really, really try to embrace it.
Take it in.
Take it
in.
Be there.
Yeah.
Focus on what the people around you are doing, the environment you're in.
Yeah. Megan, thank you. It's so empowering and powerful, and I feel very moved by this because I feel like you're giving us all such a deep and important lesson and a reminder to us all about how fragile life is and how we should be just more awake to our surroundings.
Definitely.
So thank you for empowering us. Regarding the end of life conversations you've had as well, are you comfortable to discuss with us? You made funeral arrangements as well. So
No, not at the moment.
You haven't made funeral arrangements?
No, so I am just getting in the position of being able to mentally do that. It was something that I struggled with, and eventually I spoke to, with my hospice, I have an absolutely amazing therapist who helps me through all of this stuff. And I kind of broached the topic with her.
Yeah.
There's a place that's not too far away from mine, which is, I don't know what the term would come under, but it's kind of like a natural funeral. Okay. It's all like outside in the woods and it just seems really beautiful. And I spoke to my therapist about it, and now I know where the place is, and it's just about speaking to my family about going there. Because my hospice worker was actually going to come with me, because I was like, I don't know if my family would want to or if they would be ready to. So she was going to come with me as well as the hospice chaplain. And then I thought, no, actually I spoke to my partner and a couple of family members, and I thought, no, this is important that they come with me on this.
Yeah.
But it's getting to the mentality of actually being there. I mean, even something I struggle with now is when I go to the hospice, which is quite regularly, is knowing that ultimately that's probably going to be the place that I die. Yeah. Just being there, like walking in there, is something I kind of struggle with. And I imagine it's going to be the same with the funeral planning. So I'm getting there, but I'm not fully there yet.
Yeah, no. Well, my question was, again, doing end of life, discussing about how someone passes away is very difficult, but then actually the funeral arrangements as well, that's a very difficult challenge to undertake.
Definitely.
But I think it's a very important one, but again, easier said than done.
But I agree, it is really, really important. And I feel like that will be a huge weight off of my loved ones, knowing exactly what I wanted, so they don't have to figure all of that out themselves at the time. So it's something I'm very certain that I want to explore, and I want to get resolved. And with time, I'm sure I will.
Yeah, your speed, in your time. Yeah. For those watching, then, is there or are there any bits of final advice you'd like to give us for those watching about, again, the project, what matters most?
If you do get an opportunity to check out the project, please do.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's all different perspectives on end-of-life care and facing death, as well as the people who all have to come together to create an ideal environment for these people to die, the doctors, the nurses, everybody, and their perspectives and how it affects them. Don't wait too late to start living life and loving the people that you love and telling them and really spending time with them. And challenge the way that you're living mentally if you can. Challenge how much time you spend with the people around you that really do matter. And what does your life look like? What do you want? What is within your means? Of course, we all want an amazing house and money and great things. But what is within your means that you can take more presence and opportunity to make a reality for you?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Megan, you are inspirational.
Thank you.
I think you've empowered more people than you'll ever realise.
Thank
You've
you.
empowered me and you've inspired me. And we've talked about a lot about on this podcast about time, how we use time. Thank you for giving me your time.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I have a hug?
Yeah, I'm starting to get a bit emotional now. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
That was really good. Oh, deep breaths, everybody.
Oh. Oh man. Demi, thank you.
Thank you.
You're top man, you are.
Oh, you are.
No.
Oh, Dimmy, I don't think I'd be able to do like any of this if I didn't have Dimmy by my side. He's
dear
been
me.
amazing.
Oh dear me.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're incredible.
Oh, thank you.
You're incredible.
Thank you. Oh man.
Thank you so much.
No, an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time with me. I really do.